A lot of people think that it is about having a great webinar. And while that is important, more important is having a lot of people show up for your webinar. That's what we're going to discuss in this video. I created this amazing system that will help you get people to your webinar and then help them stay all the way to the end. But more on that later. So a lot of people put all the time and energy into building an amazing presentation, getting the deck done, doing their offer, having the course, but they fall short in actually getting people to the webinar. And it's no secret, in today's climate, it is hard to get people to show up. Most webinars have a 20% or lower show up rate. That means if you have 100 people register, you're going to have around 20 people show up. Then by the time you get to the pitch, if you're good, you're going to have 10 to 15. If you're bad, you're going to have 5, which means you might be lucky and get 1 sale. How do you change this? The biggest thing that you can do to change the numbers on your webinar is get more people to show up at the beginning. This has to do with your funnel, your landing page, your indoctrination sequence that drives them to the webinar. But most importantly, what makes all of that work better is raw curiosity, creating a really solid open loop that people know they have to show up for. Now, the alternative to this is doing an evergreen webinar, right? Or just a video sales page, have them opt in and then go to the free training. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing this, but until you have done your webinar 15 to 20 times, keep doing it live, because every time you show up and do it live, you are going to get better at presenting it. And each time you get an increment better, by the time you go from the first time you present it to the 15th, you are going to get way more conversion because you're going to be way more convincing. You're going to be way more sold on your own product. Remember, Zig Ziglar said, and I agree 100%, a sale is made when you transfer your certainty and your excitement about what you are selling to the buyer. I talked to somebody this week that was selling a product. You could tell they were not excited about it. We went through their whole thing and I said, you just don't seem all that excited. And she said, well, I retired from my job and I needed to do something to bring in some extra money. And this seemed like a really good fit. I said, but you're not sold on it. You're not excited. You wouldn't pay the money that you're asking people to pay. And she said, oh, you're right. I said, then why are you doing it? Find something else to sell. So that's kind of a side story. We went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but be excited about what you're selling. And one of the ways that you can do that is to do your presentation over and over and over again. That's why you should do it every week. Even if you just have a few people show up, you're going to get better at doing it. Let's go back to the raw curiosity though, and opening up some of those loops. So how do you create an open loop? Well, you put something there and you say, we'll cover this in depth. It used to be that you could just say the word secrets or mystery, right? But now you need to really get people to lean in, and you do this by focusing on their pain points. Figure out what their pain points are, stir them up a little bit, and then say, we're going to solve them here, but you have to show up live. You have to show up on the webinar. That's the first piece. If you're doing the evergreen, you just have to have really good curiosity. And then the first 2 minutes of your presentation have to have really strong hooks and at least 5 testimonials. You want 5 testimonials in the first 3 minutes of your video that show the outcomes that you're getting. This is how you get people hooked in. Then you want to create open loops in your story that drive people later. You can also put in a bonus that they get if they stay all the way to the end. This will help, but what works way better is to create really strong open loops that get people to stay to the end. Okay, so now you've actually got more people showing up, right? You have 100 people register and 50, 60, 70 of them actually show up to the live webinar, or 100% of them actually start watching the video. You have the open loops, so they're staying on to the pitch, but they don't buy. What do you do next? You've probably heard fortune is in the follow-up, and webinars are no different. There are 9 different steps to following up with people who have been on your webinar or your video sales letter, and most people only use 1 or 2 of these. I talked to somebody who has $1 million business yesterday, and they only do 1. They do it really well, and they put a lot of money into ad spend to get people to the webinar. But we talked about all the different things that they could add, and you'll see really quickly how these can add value and add dollars to your bottom lines. So the first one, this is the one that everyone does, is an email sequence. You should have at least an 8-step email sequence from the time they view it until the time the cart closes. If you're doing a video sales letter, you need to have a countdown timer on it. That ClickFunnels has this built in. There are also other softwares that you can use that you can plug into any web page that will give you a countdown timer. So you need an 8-step email sequence. In that email sequence, you should give them a text version of the webinar, give them a transcription. You should break out the biggest bullet points. You should summarize things. You should show testimonials. Those emails need to grab people's attention, not just say, here, go back and watch the webinar. Actually break it down for them and show them the highlights. Give them content that is in bite-sized format. And here's a tip. They don't have to be long emails. Most people are reading their emails on this device right here, your phone, right? So if you're reading an email on your phone, it shouldn't be more than maybe 100 words. Give them a highlight, drive them back to a segment of the webinar where they can buy. Number 2, text messages. If you get their phone numbers, send them a couple text messages that drive them back to the webinar, or drive them to the email, or drive them to a Zoom call. That's the next thing. Zoom calls, phone calls. If you can get people on the phone, you can say, hey, I saw you registered for the webinar. I saw you watched it. I was just wondering what questions you have. How can we help you? That opens a conversation. If they get on a call with you, they are a warm lead and they are at least thinking about buying. You should be doing phone calls, and the best way to get them there is through text. Voicemail drops. Voicemail drops, there are systems out there that will allow you to do voicemail drops to anyone who gives you their phone number. They're going to receive a text, most likely, as a summary of the voicemail. They might actually listen to it. It's one more way that you can touch people's lives and have a touch point with them that gets them moving forward with you. The next one is super powerful, and I want you guys to hear this. A lot of times, there are people out there that don't want the course, they want you. They want you to do whatever you teach in the course. They're watching the course to see if you really know what you're talking about. I had a guy who runs a $180 million company tell me this. He sat me down and he was like, look, I've watched your presentations. I think you're great, but I don't want a course. I want to buy you. So think about that for a second. How do you do that? You have an upsell. In your follow-up sequence, you want to offer people a way to buy your personal time. Hey, if courses just aren't your thing, I want to give you this link. You can book a 20-minute call with me and we'll see how we could work together one-on-one. This isn't for everybody. This is the VIP option. About 5 to 10% will buy that option. They identify as the luxury class and they only buy the best. They don't want another course. They want you so that you can take them by the hand and get them that outcome. The next one is a downsell. After the cart closes, have a downsell option. I don't know what that looks like for you because I don't know what your business is, but have something that instead of being $19.97 or $9.97 is $4.97 or $2.97 or $1.97 or $97. Have some way to recoup money, because once they spend money with you, it's easier for them to spend more money with you. Next up, have an affiliate webinar for somebody else that is in your space that sells an auxiliary product. This is one of the easiest ways to get money out of your list, especially if they know, like, and trust you and they watched your webinar. This is going to give you a way that you can sell them something else that does not compete with you, but does offer them a solution to their pain. You have to figure out what that is. You have to find a great person and you have to figure out how to put that together. But doing this and offering this quickly after your webinar sequence, after the cart close, will lead to more money in your pocket. Next up, we have a follow-up session. This is number 8. For number 8, we have a follow-up Q&A session. So this comes out of live events. A lot of times at live events, you'll make the pitch, you'll have somebody else speak, and then you'll do a Q&A session or a hot seat session. If you do this with the people that you know were on towards the end, you can send this email out right before cart close and do a Q&A session. Get them all on Zoom. You can then overcome their objections right there. And when you do that, you can drive them to buy from you. They will buy from you because you're overcoming the objections. It's one of the most powerful ways. You're not going to have a ton of people on the Q&A, but the people who come are hot buyers. Last up, drive them to a Facebook group. Drive them somewhere that you have a community that you can put a little fence around them and continue talking to them. Because the thing is, they might not be a buyer yet, but they will buy from you down the road. You have to touch people a lot more. It used to be 5 to 7 times. Now studies are showing that people need over 30 interactions sometimes before they will buy. So put them in an area that you can do that. This could be a text message group, a Voxer group, a Facebook group is probably the easiest. Those are the 9 steps of follow-up that will add more money to your bottom line. More than 50% of the sales of webinars come after the webinar, and now you know how. If you found this video informative and you want to know more about how to hold a rockstar webinar that will change your life, there is a free course in the description down below. You can jump into the free course. It will walk you through everything that you need. If you have a webinar, but it is not performing the way that you want, I'll do a webinar intensive for you, walk you through your entire webinar, put it up on video, troubleshoot the entire thing, look at your front end, look at your follow-up, and I will sit down with you. This is a complete game changer and is shown to more than 5x some webinars that I have worked on. That link is down in the description as well. And lastly, if you know you want to build a webinar from scratch that gets the maximum conversion possible, I will work with you. We'll build the entire thing out. We'll start at the beginning. We'll script it. We'll build your deck. We'll build the entire presentation. I'll help you practice it. We'll build the front end funnel. We'll build a lead magnet. We'll build the ads, and I'll help you build the follow-up. We'll do the entire thing. There's a link down below. You can book a strategy session with me, and we'll go over exactly what that would look like. Webinars are the fastest way to change your business and to grow your following. If you want more money in your business, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Till next time, take action, change lives, and make money. We'll see you soon.